Hey, hey, welcome in. Let the good vibes all begin. Something good is about to happen. Sure. I've been waiting on you. Got a seat with your name. Started with a coffee chat. Now we about to change the game. You got a story worth telling, and I got a room full of ears. So drop whatever you've been holding. Get ready because your time is here. Because when real people talk to real people, something shifts. When real stories meet real listeners, something lifts. Every Saturday we show up and we bring our best. Show up to Carrie Connects and leave it fast. Show up, show up. Something is happening here. Carrie Connects, Carrie Connects. This is your moment, come near. Where every story intersects and every heart connects. From a coffee chat to the main stage, just bring who you are. Carrie Connects, Carrie Connects. Connection is the start. Carrie Connects. Entrepreneurs, voices, friends, where inspiration never ends. You did not come this far just to sit in the back. Everything you are through, we're getting you ready for that. So step into the light. Let somebody see your face, because the right conversation can change everything in this place. When real people talk to real people, something shifts. And real stories meet real listeners, something lifts. Every Saturday we show up and we bring our best. Show up to Carrie Connects and leave it bright. Show up, show up. Something is happening here. Carrie Connects, Carrie Connects. This is your moment, come near. Where every story intersects and every heart connects. Over coffee chat to the main stage, just bring who you are. Carrie Connects, Carrie Connects. Connection is the start. We started over coffee just to see if it was real. Yeah, you opened up and showed me everything you feel. Now the world is watching and they say the very best chance. Carrie Connects is where somebody finally cares. Show up, something is happening here. Carrie Connects, Carrie Connects. Listen, you know it, come near. Every story intersects and every heart connects. From the coffee chat to the main stage, just be who you are. Carrie Connects. Real conversations, real connections. This is Carrie Connects. Show up.
All right, welcome to another amazing edition of Carrie Connects with the one and only Jackie Hallberg, LMSW. I am Coach Carrie, and I'm super excited to invite everyone to Carrie Connects. Now, if you don't know, StreamYard has done some new things with the comment section. I don't know how they work, but I'm going to figure it out on the fly. So I just want to welcome Jackie to Carrie Connects. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm so good, and I'm harnessing my inner Carrie Connects. Look at
All
this.
right. I love it. I love it.
I wanted to
Harness,
surprise you.
you got to harness. And the other thing that we must do is not forget to use the force so that we can ask the most galactic questions on the planet. So welcome to Jedi J. I'm so happy that you are sharing this time and space with us this afternoon. And I want to say hi to David Cause. I always see him on your show, Just Jax, in the comment section, and so happy that he continues to support you across platforms. And so, welcome, David, because you know what, David, it is a vibe. All right, all day and all night. And then, gotta say hi to Omar. I'm connecting with him tomorrow. We're going to talk about all things Substack and beyond. And so, super excited to have Omar here. Make sure you connect with the people that I'm talking about on stage. That's really what Carrie Connects is about. It started with coffee chats. Jackie and I had an amazing coffee chat, and now she is here on the main stage of Carrie Connects. So, super excited that you are here. And Layla, thank you so much for checking in. This is my Besties Beyond Borders buddy from Canada. We actually connected via hot chocolate chat, and so excited that she is joining us. She's actually going to be jumping off to go on another podcast today. Listen, you all, we got some celebrities in the house, so I am excited about that. And here go our buddy, Savor the Flavor, because that's what life is all about, savoring the flavor. So you all continue to drop those hellos in the comment section. We're going to get back to welcoming some more of our guests. Got to say hi to Meryl before I transition over to Jackie. You know what? I am super excited to be able to add some sunshine to your rainy afternoon. Here in the Midwest, Meryl, it is only going to be about 54 degrees today. We went from the 70s to the 80s. We had freeze watches, so I guess that's happy spring, everybody. And so I'm excited about that as well. And so we're just going to continue this amazing, amazing conversation. Let's get the party started. I'm so excited to have you as a guest because you are one of the people that I follow on social media. And I just see all of the amazing things that you are doing, how you're helping out the community, how you show up for people. And so I'm excited to have you on here this Saturday. So in your own way, tell us who you are, what you do, and yes, don't leave anything out. We need all of it because you are a lot of amazing things. I couldn't even fit everything on the flyer.
Girl, I tell you, I do so much more than I even share on social media because some of my social medias, I share certain things and then I won't share other things. And then I'm like, I didn't share it anywhere. People don't even realize some of the things I'm involved in. So it's super cool. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for doing this show. You get to highlight new people. And it's like, even when guests have their own shows or they're on other shows, I always learn so much about people. So I hope other people enjoy learning about me today, but thank you for highlighting people, Carrie. So a couple things about me. First, my name is Jackie and I live in the state of Michigan and I'm right below the pinky. So I think I'm probably only about physically 4 hours away from Carrie right now. It's gorgeous outside here. I think we're closer to the 60, a little higher than 60 today. But I do a handful of things. So Carrie has been so amazing. Follow all of her channels because she has highlighted me better than I could highlight myself. Like the things she wrote about me, I'm like, dang, do I really do that? So I'm a social worker by background, but I do not practice in terms of diagnosing people or doing individual therapy anymore. By day, I run a nonprofit that does very intense work in conflict resolution and reentry and restorative justice. That means we're working with humans when they're at some of the roughest times of their life. They're going through divorce, they're going through their child being expelled, they're going through things where maybe they've committed a crime, their youth has committed a crime, or they've been a victim of a crime. We also work with people getting out of jail and prison and their families. And so it's really intense work. And I have a very busy mind and I have to stay very active. So of course I have some side gigs and I am willing to kind of help in the ways that call my heart. And so I do consulting for reentry work. I do consulting for trip planning, not doing it as like a travel agent at all, but really trying to encourage people to travel safer, save some money while they're traveling and have the best time ever. I ruined a lot of trips back in the day by trying to rush them and trying to get too many things in them. And I like to help people now. And then my real passion is getting passion into people's lives. And that is about helping people in relationships, helping them with safe dating opportunities. And if you're not interested in dating, you never want a relationship or you don't think you're ready for one right now, that relationship with ourselves is so critical no matter what's going on with our world. So I see so much violence in the world, Carrie, not just on the news and not just on social media, but right here in my hometown. right here in the work I do, and being able to help people be happier inside themselves or their relationship can literally help change the violence and bring more peace to the community. So I'm going to stop there because that's a whole mouthful, and some people might have fallen asleep by all of that, but I do a lot, and that's kind of just the main stuff I do.
Well, I love that. And I appreciate that you shared that relationship with ourself is so important. I don't think anybody has fallen asleep. You do so much. And a lot of the guests here are people that you know. I know that they love, adore, and respect you in the same way that I do. But I want to talk about how you started your career. You started as an elementary school counselor. And then your boss was like, hey, you got to go over here to this juvenile justice work. And you were like, maybe not me. No, I'm not doing that. But
No.
then when you met the first kid, what happened in that moment?
Oh man. I tell you, working with kids that are sad is different than working with kids that act out in anger or they hurt somebody or they commit a crime. And it was pretty wild. It was really life changing because I was a victim of crime myself when I was in high school, two pretty significant crimes that happened, one to me specifically and one to my whole family. And I was pretty jaded. I mean, I went to school to be a social worker because I always wanted to help people. There was a lot of mental health and physical health issues with my dad that I wanted to make sure to be able to help other people so they didn't feel so sad. And never in my life did I assume being a social worker could lead me into working with people that commit crimes. I always thought it'd be the other side only. And when I got voluntold to actually do that role, I was a little terrified. I was a little unsure of myself, that kind of imposter syndrome. Yeah, I'm supposed to do this, but I don't want to do it. And I don't think I'm confident and qualified to do it. And once they started talking, and all the work I do with youth, a parent or guardian has to be there with them. So it's not like a therapeutic intervention where you can do individual therapy with the kid. And I realized two things. That first, the youth are not scary, nasty people, even though I was older and I knew they did a crime. They are human souls that need to be heard and feel safe in order to make safe decisions, and that the parents go through their own emotions when their youth commits a crime or gets involved in the court system. And the response that that parent has can make or break how the youth works with somebody like me or continues or changes their behavior in the future. So it was so mind-blowing that I'm like, this is why I'm doing this.
I love that. I love that for a lot of people, the mess becomes the message or the test becomes the testimony. It's so many different ways that you can say that. But one of the things that Viktor Frankl talks about in Man's Search for Meaning is how we're all the total sum of our experiences. He's the founder of logotherapy and he does some work in existentialism, or he used to. And so I love that idea that we can take our stories and they start to shape who we are. I wonder who you might have become had that experience not happened. Would you be able to make the same types of connections? And so sometimes those negative experiences that we have allow us to give our gifts to the world. And so that same pattern that you talked about happened again and again. So now we're moving forward in your career and they ask you to do family reunification.
In
And
the
so,
prisons.
right, in the Michigan prisons. And again, you was like, nope. But then you walk in and you discovered men telling you that they hadn't cried in front of anybody since childhood.
If
Now,
at
what did
all.
that teach you about purpose? What was that like?
Who that First of all, it was an intense honor,
Mhm.
because any human that's willing to be vulnerable with another human, especially when it's about personal stuff, it's an honor when they're willing to share with you their darkest times, their emotional concerns, maybe their concerns of failure or the hurt that happened to them. But when you're working with somebody that is meant to keep their guard up, because when you're in a prison system or you're incarcerated in any shape or form, your emotions could get you in trouble. You could look weak. You could be more a target. You could have people use that against you and make you do other things because of what you share. So the fact that they were even willing to remotely express themselves, let alone show emotional response, knowing that the guards could be watching the cameras. And
Mm.
unfortunately, there are some people that work in the side of a facility that could also use those kind of words and expressions on them as well. And so it was very humbling. It was an honor. It still is an honor. I still do hear some of that today. And it also makes me sad because men are born with tear ducts just like women, and it is a cleansing of a response. It doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean that you are feminine. It doesn't mean that you are not strong. It means that your body is trying to compensate for all this stuff going on. And sometimes it's good stuff that makes us cry. And sometimes it is something that may have happened years and years ago that just comes to the surface, and the body is ready to release that. So it was a real honor, but yet it was sad too.
I can understand that seeing people in those spaces really does affect us emotionally. I tend to be what people consider an empath. And so if you're sad, I'm sad. If you're happy, I'm happy. And so sometimes I have to separate myself from situations because of how I respond emotionally. So I'm so glad that there are people like you who are able to do that work. Even having a background in psychology myself, I'm like, I don't know if that work is for me. So I do work with children and I work with people in certain spaces. But I've recognized, and I think that's really important that you mentioned that, knowing what you can handle and what you can't handle. And so just as you honor them, we honor you for being able to work with people in that space, because people need people like you. The world needs people like you. And speaking of this honor of working with people, you're also a restorative justice specialist and a certified mediator. I know that you work with justice impacted individuals, crime victims, families, and communities. I'm curious, from your perspective, what does real restoration actually look like? Because I know even in my psychology studies, they talked about what it looks like, from the textbook perspective. And I've done some restorative justice work in the school system.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to hear what does real restoration actually look like the real
I,
version.
I will try to be as quick as possible about this because I get all jazzed up about it.
Get jazzy. We here, we connected.
Restorative justice is really centered around three different concepts. It's accountability of your action. So it might be a criminal action, or it could be even hurting somebody, saying the wrong words, maybe mistreating them, even whether it was intentional or unintentional, but the result was the same. So taking accountability. And what do we usually do when somebody asks us if we did something wrong? No, not me. I would never do that. You got the wrong person. We tend to deny. And when we deny or we blame other people, yeah, I did it, but I only did it because this person told me to. Or we minimize, yes, officer, I was speeding, but I didn't go as fast as that blue car. Go get them. We try to blame others or minimize what we're doing. That's not taking accountability for our actions. So if we hurt somebody, we stole something from them, we cheated on them, we, did something very mean, and we deny it, this thing up here starts to get confused because it knows the truth. And when it gets confused, we're more apt to do something inappropriate to somebody else and do it again. So accountability is the first step. So sometimes that is restoration, right? That is restorative justice in action. Just getting somebody to go from, it wasn't me to, yeah, it actually was me. Huge. Then we work on repairing harm. So if you're willing to take accountability, how are you going to try to make amends for it? Because when we hurt somebody or break the law, we can never undo it. It happened. But how we hold ourselves to try to either fix it, to try to make it a little easier to tolerate, says so much. So if somebody stole my bike, Carrie, and they still had it in their garage, tied up behind their house, they were just going to use it. If they were found that they stole it, I could get my bike back and I would probably feel good about that. Well, what if that bike was given to me by my grandpa that passed away, and they went out and damaged that bike and it can't be repaired, or they sold it to somebody, they don't know who it was, we can never get that bike back. It's not just about the cost of the bike, it's that sentimental value. So sometimes being able to talk to that person, and in our practice, we tend to bring people together so they can actually talk face to face and say, do you know how this impacted me? It is just ripping my soul out, thinking I never get to see that bike again. And then that person gets to respond and tell them how they feel about what they did to them after they hear that. That is tough work. Some people have said restorative justice is soft on crime. Oh my gosh, it is the toughest thing some people can do, is look somebody in the eye and admit they did wrong, or tell them how they want to try to make it better after they can't fix it. And then the third concept of restorative is competency development. So it's now that you've taken accountability, you're trying to fix it for the person. How can you help yourself so you never do something like this again? And when you're working with youth doing this versus an adult doing this, the different components can be so different. I mean, they can self-reflect and they can talk about things. And sometimes I find the people will almost beat themselves up more, or they will try to give themselves more of a consequence than sometimes the people that are working with them are the victim of their crime. So real restorative kind of like healing looks different for all of us. Because Carrie, maybe you had your purse stolen and you had this kind of a response, and I have my purse stolen and I have a totally different response. So you may want to be resolved in a certain way, and I might be like, oh yeah, that was no big deal. I didn't even have my checks in there. There's nothing that who cares? I was just carrying it around in case I needed to put my phone in there. Where you may have had something sentimental in there. You might have just went to the bank and got a deposit to pay for something important. It might have all your identification information, and you might be like, oh my gosh, they're going to know where I live now. And what do I do? Do I got to change my locks? Do I need to get a security system? So every one of us responds differently. And again, it depends on the youth age versus an adult age. It also depends on their support network, because if they're living in a household or with parents that are like, who cares? You're probably going to do it again, or if they deserved it and you deserve to do that to them, going to be different than a family or the support network that's like, wow, how can we support you so you don't want to go and do something like this again? Do we need to talk about the boundaries and the rules and stuff? So real success can't be defined because it is going to look different in every situation.
I agree with you that it is going to look different in every situation. But as you're talking, I'm thinking about even the youngest child would benefit from restorative justice opportunities. And I wonder how different the world would be if this is something that we started young, because even I've seen even as young as 5 years old, sometimes younger, but I know
Yes.
for sure in the school systems with children who are kindergarten age that take things that don't belong to them because they like this toy. It has a certain impact on another child. And so I would absolutely love to see these types of practices, throughout the school system, but also teaching families. I think this would be great if families knew how to incorporate restorative justice practices even into the home and into the household. So I know that you've been a school board member for a decade, or and
It
you
was a
sit,
decade. Yeah.
yeah, and you sat in IEP meetings, advocating for students who were facing expulsion,
Mhm.
maybe facing suspension.
Yep.
And I was a special education teacher, a process expert, I like to call myself. So I have that licensure as well. And I'm just curious, what do most people not understand about what happens in these spaces?
Yeah, and so I did sit in the expulsion hearings for kids that were general education as well too. So what
Okay.
what happens is so many times when a harm happens or when a crime happens in a school, you have to look at it for multiple levels. You have to look at it for what is best for the safety of the school with that person in or out of the school. What is it for? What is the response going to be from the other students, the parents, the teachers, all the things. So when people make a decision to suspend or expel a student, if they do have special education documentation, they do have to look at things a little bit differently. Was
Mhm.
the behavior a manifestation of that cognitive or some kind of a learning change that happened to them? If it's somebody that is a general education student, they still should look at what is the unique situation of that student. And unfortunately, so many schools that you probably understand too, black and white. If you did this, boom, this is your consequence. You did this, boom, this is your consequence. It should be specialized in most cases for that unique situation. Because if you're working with a youth that maybe their crime was stealing something off the lunch cart, and they have a family that has no money for food and they are starving, or they're stealing it for their little sister because they know she cries at home because she's starving, that shouldn't be an expulsion compared to if they go into a teacher's personal purse and they steal something and they've been doing all kinds of other stuff that hasn't been safe, or they've threatened the teacher before. That should be looked at differently. And I'm not saying either should get a full expulsion or a suspension, but there should be different kind of responsibilities and consequences for that. The community needs to lift our youth up, and our youth learn from the way adults at the teacher level, the principal level, the school board level responds to when a kid does some kind of a harm. And that can stay with them for the rest of their life. And they may never want to talk to another school person. Once they have kids and their kids are in school, they may not see the value in school, or they may not want to take a teacher's phone call or go to, conferences and learn about their kids to support them. So it's really important that when you look at the rules, and this also happens with court rules, police rules, things like that, is there something about the person that did this, not that makes them better or worse, but that if something would have been done differently sooner, that this behavior would have never happened? They should be looked at differently than somebody that has been making the consistent same behavior over and over.
I agree with that. And definitely within the school systems, you do see that there are some differences depending on the student's behavior, depending on the student's background, depending on the student's diagnosis. And so I love that they have these things in place for families. And so I'm just curious, we have a few comments and questions here. So I have to say hello, Kenneth Dunner Jr. He said that I did not say his name. So I want to make sure that I say his name. And he is enjoying today's conversation. And we're really happy that you are here. Leda is here. And so we want to say hello. Sharito is here as well, just enjoying the conversation. And so I love that people are here enjoying the conversation. And then David has a question. And his question is, do you work with parents who are dealing with children who are in prison around the areas of guilt? Do you have any advice?
Oh, I love that. Thank you, David, for breaking into that question. So we do a variety of things at my office, but I'm limited to the communities that I have to serve in Michigan, just up the lakeshore. For my personal business, I can do this with anybody around the world if they are interested in this. So I'm not going to be doing therapy. I'm not going to do counseling outside of when I do counseling. But I would do advising on working with not just the parents that are the one that has been removed, but talking to them when they come back, working with the other parent or guardian that may be now a single parent trying to raise their child and trying to explain why the mom or dad was taken away because of their behavior. Also talking with kids on how to not feel guilty or embarrassed for what their parents have done, because unfortunately youth, schools are so great and they'll put daddy daughter dance and bring your mom in for muffins and all these cool things. And sometimes these youth don't have that person with them for a variety of reasons. But if that reason is because of incarceration and the kid's like, oh, my dad can't be here because he's in jail right now, it might be normal to that kid to say that or want to share, to be honest. But then the teachers kind of look at them differently. Oh, you come from one of those families. Oh, your parent did that. The kids sometimes will tease them. And that is not okay. That is not cool. We should be able to honor whatever our experience is, because some of us have parents that make not good decisions. Some of us have family members like cousins or brothers or sisters that do that. It doesn't mean that we are that person or it reflects on us. But in our society, at least here in America, it is very much judgmental. And so working with those kids and trying to make sure that they feel, again, that passion that they are just as worthy no matter what's happened in their family. If they were unfortunately the victim of a family member, it's a whole different concept. And that needs to have that therapeutic intervention and really work through that trauma that probably happened to them, and at different levels as well. So a lot depends on who's willing to talk about this. Are they just going to try to forget about it and pretend it didn't happen and just serve their time and go back to like nothing happened? Well, guess what? Something happened, and it's going to escalate when you get back out and come back into the home. Or maybe if you don't even come into the home, but you're living back in the same community, or maybe you have to start paying child support when you get out of prison or jail, it's going to change it and really ramp up. So lots of stuff that I can talk about, assist with, and work with people if that's something they're interested in.
And I love that flexibility in what it is that you do, that you have people you serve through your day job, we'll call it. And then you also have people that you're able to service privately as well, because you really are doing so many different things. And so I love that there's this plethora of services that you're able to provide to people. One of the things I used to do, Jackie, in the school district, with over 20 years experience, they had the dances exactly what you talked about. They would
Mhm.
have the mom and muffins, and
Yeah.
then they would have the dad and donuts. And sometimes the students did feel ostracized.
Mhm.
So a lot of the school districts that I worked in, I started um, doing what was called people and pastry. So I didn't care if it was cakes,
Oh,
donuts, muffins. Okay, listen, get into it. I didn't care what it was. And it was just people. And sometimes, because originally I was doing parents, and I'm like, well, it might be a foster parent, it might be an adoptive parent, it
mhm.
might be a guardian, and so I was like, you know what, we're just all people, right?
Yes, we are.
And so people and pastries, if you're a school district employee, may just be something to consider because it's a little more inclusive,
Mhm.
as opposed to ostracizing. And even if they didn't have a family member there, it was really nice because I was like, hey, I'm a people, right? And
Yes.
so I was able to be there and support students in that way. So I appreciate that question, because a lot of times not only do the children feel guilty, but the parents, they feel guilty as
Mhm.
well. But having some place that they can go and have those conversations is really important. And I
Yeah.
don't want to overshadow the comment that you made earlier. I wanted to actually go back to it about men and tears, because
Mhm.
I think that's a real challenge that a lot of men face. the mom of a 16-year-old, and it wasn't really until I became a parent that I recognized the importance of that. I have my dad, I have brothers, I have uncles, and there's this uh, idea that men cross cultures have to be stoic, right? And so I love the idea of that permission to shed tears is really, really, really important. I actually sent my son a video where one of the counselors talked about that and the importance of men sharing tears, shedding tears. So I look for things like that because, as you know, my son's father passed away in
Mhm.
2023. And so I look for men who are strong, positive men that leave messages, whether it's on social media, men in my family, so that they can have those conversations with him. And it really is important that men understand that. I love what you said. We are all born with tear ducts. And
Mhm.
so that's really, really important to recognize the humanity in people. Ryan says, thank you. Thank you for being here, Ryan. And Kenneth says he don't like for people to be judgmental. And I'm with you. Sometimes people are judgmental based on different experiences that they have. And so that's why I love that idea of having restorative justice so early, Jackie. And I think I really do believe the younger, the better. And then, of course, we have Gregory here saying hello. He is watching sports and watching us at the same time, and we appreciate that. Oh my goodness, we have use lesson 31. It's saying hi from Twitch. This is my first Twitch guest. Hey, so Twitch is finally paying off. And so just continue to drop your comments, drop your questions for Jackie, because this is a really, really, really important conversation. And Jay wants to know, when you see a child that has lifelong disabilities, how does that impact the various missions that you're trying to accomplish?
Yeah, and Jay, I love this, and I love your advocacy for anyone that has any kind of ability needs or challenges. And that's just it. They are still human, just like
Mhm.
anyone else. And so, really finding out what they're going to disclose, if it's an ability or disability that we can see versus one that is not seen. We do work with a lot of children that have cognitive impairments, they have mental illness. So, depending on their comfort level, depending on their ability to understand certain things. Again, the parent or guardian is always with them. So it's important that they are comfortable to share what their needs are. And if their needs are things that maybe we're not aware of, or something that we've seen in the past, it's okay to brainstorm and talk about that. But just because you have something that's a little bit different than somebody else doesn't give you a free pass to hurt other people or to do other things. However, if it's a minor child or somebody that needs a guardian, it's important that they use that advocacy to make sure that person can be as safe as possible so that behavior does not escalate and so they don't put themselves in a threatening situation. Because sometimes people, if they maybe they have a condition where they will blurt out certain words or they will say things that might be harmful to somebody. That's not their intent. That's the way their brain is manifesting things. It's important to create a safety net so the other students or the teacher doesn't feel like they got to come be defensive or do things. But it's also important to make sure that that kid is safe, because if they were to say that during one class and then the kid transitions to another class, would someone want to come retaliate to them and harm them? And so really having all the discussion in place between the parents and caregivers, the youth, if they're able to communicate their needs, what the teacher or the school sees, it should be a group discussion. If it's criminal, then you involve the probation staff or any other assigned providers that have that, to really figure out how can accountability still be impactful and how can they repair the harm as much needed and learn those competencies so they don't get put in situations like that again.
I love that. I love that idea of having that collaborative conversation around the caregivers and around the providers, and making sure that the student, when possible, is included. That was one of the things I always did as a teacher. They're like, oh no, that person doesn't need to. Absolutely, listen. They're going to be in the room. They're going to be in the building. So I was definitely an advocate. And I love that Meryl loves my reframe
It was great.
of people and pastries. I appreciate that comment. Thank you. Because it is impactful. And I think that rebranding helps people to feel more visible and maybe not to be so ashamed. And I also agree with David. He says that, well, you want the people who are, that are present. And I think the present is a gift. And so you definitely want people. And who always hungry, right? Savoring the flavor. So I'm like, ooh, pastry pies. Could you stay on task, Kenneth? All right, let's move on. Right. So transitioning, we talked about a lot of the work that you do, a lot of the heavy things that you do. But now this is what really blew my mind. Okay. Because I follow you on TikTok. If y'all not following her on TikTok, follow her on TikTok. I follow you on Substack. I follow you on LinkedIn, and I found you on Instagram. But here's what really surprised me, because I've been to your show before, and I know all about the restorative justice and the school counseling and being a school board member. Now let's talk about this. Romance coaching. Oh, let's talk about that, because that practice, you said, grew out of 2 decades of noticing the same crisis, just kind of repeating itself over and over and over again. Married people reaching out to you, not because they were trying to get with you, but just because they were hurt. Well, I know it was probably a few, okay, because you're cute. But what do you feel like the couples are getting wrong before like this distance becomes a permanent part of their relationship? Talk about this romance coaching. Yes. Y'all get y'all pens, pencils, crayons, and lipstick. We're going to take some notes and spread some love today.
Yeah. So first of all, I also learned, because of my own issues with that, with the way some people grew up at different generations, romance wasn't talked about. It wasn't like, make sure that you marry somebody that you crave and that you just want to hold hands with and you want to always be around. It's like, marry somebody that you can grow old with, you can get kids with, they have good insurance, or just do what you got to do to the first guy that likes you, or you don't want to be somebody that doesn't have a baby by this age, or you don't want to be single at this age. A lot of different mindsets. So a lot of people jumped into relationships either because they didn't want to be alone, they thought they were the right person. Maybe they had a crush on them in high school. Maybe they had a baby and decided to marry just because of the baby. Maybe their parents forced them. Maybe there was an arrangement or a kind of like a coercion of some sort. When you marry because you're just settling, or because it's an expectation, you are going to be a different person that day than you are in 2 months, in 6 years, in 10 years, in 20 years. Your dynamics are going to shift, and they could shift in the best ways. And you can get to know that partner in a different way, and you can develop that real love and relationship that turns more intimate, even if it was kind of forced in the beginning, if you work on it. But if you had a really passionate relationship when you first married, and then, oh my gosh, Now you're exhausted after work every night, and now the kids are screaming and you're hurting and this happens and oh my gosh, all this is going on. The first thing that so many families will have happen is the intimate partner kind of gets put on the back burner. Okay, we got to get to pay these bills. We got to cook dinner. We got to go change the baby. We got to get up in the middle of the night for the screaming kid. All those things are so important. But when people don't have time to really connect as the couple that they were meant to be, it becomes sometimes platonic. Sometimes it becomes a partnership instead of a love. And unfortunately, sometimes that can change and turn into bitterness or kind of like not just annoying, but like resentment. And when that happens, it's so hard to rebuild, especially on your own. Especially if you're resentful of that person and you're going out and bashing your partner with your best friend or the girls, or when you're out drinking with your buddies and you're like, you're not going to believe my wife won't even do this anymore, or she does this, or he's like this. We start building up those walls and we almost look at our partner as an enemy. And so it's really easy to drift and say, wow, that person's kind of cute and she just smiled at me, or she seems so nice on her post, or man, that guy offered to help me if I have any car issues the next time. And I remember him from back in the day. That's so great. I'm going to send him a quick message. And then we start getting that dopamine and excitement from having attention from somebody that's not our partner. And it changes that dynamic again. And so my hope is that if they're struggling in a current relationship, that they know there's other things other than just divorce or just marriage therapy. There is romance coaching. There is ways to learn how to communicate your needs, because your physical needs, your intimacy needs are going to be different at a certain age than they were before, or they're going to be afterwards. And you and your partners may grow at different needs, where you may need more intimacy here. And they're like, yeah, no, not right now. We'll deal with that later. And that can change that dynamic. So it's really exciting that people could have an opportunity to rebuild something before it's completely lost or damaged. And when people separate because one person strays or because somebody decides to end the relationship and they weren't both in agreement, it can really manifest to that one partner that they're not able to come back from, and they resent every person that's of that kind of a gender that they would date before. They become reclusive. They start to maybe self-harm or overeat or medicate too much or not enough. And it can be ugly. And people have one life. We should make it as happy and healthy and exciting and rewarding as possible.
Yes, we should. Yes, we should. And so everything that you said just makes so much sense, because these are the same people who are parenting. These are some of the same people who were the children that we talked about earlier. And so all of this is systemic. It's all connected. It's all related. And so I love that you were able to identify something unique in who you already are based on your experiences, and then be able to help people with those relationships and that romance. Now, do you do any type of, do you have like a dating website, dating hotline?
So
So people should reach out to you around romance coaching or around dating profiles. Come on, Jackie,
yeah.
get into it. Talk about the love.
So I am not going to find you a man or a woman or whoever you want to do.
Dadgummit. All
I'm not
right.
going to do that, but I am going to teach you how you can put your best self out there. And I'm going to help you with any kind of dating profile assistance you need, because it is hard. It is hard to explain who you are for the person you want. And sometimes we look at somebody else's profile. I want to sound like her, or I want to look like him because I bet he gets a bunch of dates or something. Be your authentic self. And that's when you start getting more connections. Because a lot of people think I'll never get on a dating site, or they're embarrassed. So they don't tell their family or friends, so nobody can give them guidance. And they just go blindly on there, and then they could get taken advantage of. They could get their heart broken. They can get all the things. And in this day and age, it's harder to meet somebody just at the grocery store or different areas in person. So sometimes online is really what people need to do that. So I will absolutely help with setting up dating profiles. I will do dating profile audits. I will even do profile pictures for you if needed, because sometimes a picture makes or break the thing. I promise you it makes a difference. But I will help you through the struggles, because again, you may go out on a date with somebody that you have already decided is going to be your future partner. They are so good in their texting game. I like the looks of them. They are going to be my person. You go out on that date, you have so much fun, and boom, they never call you again. Heart shattered. You already were living the dream. You were already planning your honeymoon with this person, and they're gone. or you find out that they were really married and they tried to take advantage of you and all the things. And so I'm here to help rebuild people if the dating world is not safe for them, because I want to make sure that that one person, whether there's somebody you were married to, whether they're currently your partner, whether it's somebody you just dated once or you kind of just liked on their profile, does not have control over your destiny. You should not limit yourself just because one person treated you bad. Because, honey, I could tell you 5,000 million people that have treated me bad in the world, you know, and if I lived in that, why would anybody want to come meet me or want to be around my energy if I'm miserable?
That's so true. That is so true. And I wish that we had 3 more hours to talk about all of this because the
Who's fast?
stories I could tell, okay? Look, the stories that I could tell. But this show is not about me, it is about you. So we're just going to keep going. Now, I appreciate you being here. And I know that you have your own show. I talked about that in the beginning, that you host Just Jax and guest every Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. She is on LinkedIn and YouTube. So you all make sure that you find her. But I'm curious, I know your background and I know there's so many things that you could have did a show about. But what made you decide that the tough topics that most people avoid talking about was really going to be your platform?
Yeah, so I have always talked about tough topics for pretty much my whole life. Back when the audio rooms were on LinkedIn, they were very much, you could pick any topic in the world and you could just literally start your room in 2 minutes. You didn't have to have it scheduled for 2 hours or 2 days or 2 weeks, but sometimes you could. And I did some tough topics then. I was doing a couple rooms with Damian Kinsey. We do Wishful Wednesday, which is coming up this Wednesday. And that sometimes gets really sad because people are hurting and they want wishes to be good. So that was a tough topic. We did Finding Your Purpose because there was a lot of people that were really struggling working with tough situations in the human service field, or maybe being a parent of somebody in the court system. And so that was just kind of a normal discussion for me. And then I did do an event by myself on both tripping with Jax, which was traveling alone and learning how to feel safer in different communities, getting yourself out there, especially for female travelers. And then I also did a show on reentry specifically. So every time I did a show, I either had somebody that was formerly incarcerated, a family member, somebody that worked the kind of work that I do. And we would really talk about the good, bad, and ugly. And I have had so many people that, especially Nick is one of the people, Nicole Angai Galindo, she'll be one of the first people that said she never once thought about what it was like for people getting out of prison or their families until she heard that show. And so when I decided I was finally ready to go into a LinkedIn Live type of a show and have a weekly show on video, I knew it couldn't be just chit chat, because I love to chit chat and I can chit chat all day long, but I know that people need to hear about the tough topics in a way that doesn't get them super sad and overwhelmed, but can give them some hope and some resilience factors. So that's really what I try to do, while blending great diverse humans so that the world can be more connected, because we are all humans that are way more alike than we are different. And so many people don't want to believe that. They see these guests coming on the show that they kind of sort of have had a judgment about, or maybe they thought they did this or only would talk about this, and then they start sharing something and it's like, oh my gosh, I have that in common too. I had no idea this happened to their life or their family. So that's why I do my Just Jackson guest show. And I thank you for being a past guest as well. It is exciting to get to know new people. And I swear I learn stuff from each one of the guests that come on every single week.
Absolutely. It was my honor to be a guest on your show. And I absolutely love that idea of the audio rooms. I heard yesterday also about the audio room. So this was pre Coach Carrie time. So I'm not familiar with the audio rooms in that space, but I heard that they were really, really a great time. They gave people that opportunity, and not really sure why LinkedIn took them away, but being able to connect with people live is amazing as well. And thank you again for all of the work that you do. Gregory wants to know, and we're merging these two topics of your show and what it is that you do professionally and personally. He wants to know if the dating photo, okay, good question, Gregory,
Good.
because my profile picture is the same across platforms, across professional social media platforms. I'll say that. So Gregory wants to know, should the profile dating photo be on the same level or levels as the photo on LinkedIn? How we
So,
supposed to look? Should we kind of, should we be a little professional, or a little more sexy? What should we do?
what you should be is you should be yourself. So do not post a picture that is 15 years old. Do not post a picture of you doing something like standing by a car that is not your car. Do not post a picture that does not give you the smile that you want people to see on your face. So LinkedIn might be a little bit more reserved, but it should still be a profile picture that is really you. Because if I'm going to do business with you and we're going to go meet in public and talk about business, and I see your picture that you posted from 20 years ago, I'm going to be looking around at that meeting room like I don't know who you are either. So be authentic in both of your pictures, but you get to have a little bit more freedom in your dating profile as long as you're being that authentic self. Because I'm going to post real pictures. I'm going to have them be very recent, and it's going to show me maybe in some of my quirky states, or maybe it's by something I love, like a waterfall or something that's exciting. I don't have room in my LinkedIn profile picture to show my personality because people don't want to see that. It gets messy. It's so tiny that you get lost in all of that.
Okay, so let me ask you a personal question. Now, hold on, audience. Okay, don't get all in my business, but I need to know. So, I have my professional pictures, but there are also feature sections on LinkedIn. And I have this picture. I'm going to just say it for myself. It is thebomb.com, meaning it's gorgeous, beautiful, fantastic, and fabulous. It's me next to a waterfall, but I have on a two-piece swimsuit. Would that be appropriate? You said keep it real. Now, would that be appropriate?
So what I would do is, if it was me, so most dating profiles, you can put multiple pictures in your profile. I try to do in the one that they see that they get to swipe on or not. What kind of people am I trying to attract? Am I trying to attract somebody that is only going to look at my body? Am I trying to attract somebody that only wants to go on vacation with me? Then a swimsuit picture is perfect. If you want somebody to really get to know you, you want to just make sure that you're vibing and you have that smile and you're covered to the place that you want to be covered. There's a lot of men that their profile picture is totally shirtless, and some of those chests might turn you away for the first glance, and some might not. And because I might be like, all he wants to do is show me his skin, and I was really hoping maybe I could just see the sparkle in his eyes because he's happy where he's at. So it might not be because of what their body looks like or doesn't look like. It might be because, oh, that's how you're marketing yourself. Is that all you're going to want to do is talk about bodies? So really depends on your vibe. There are also different dating sites that people are more focused on bodies and pictures and how much skin is showing, versus maybe they do want somebody that is going to be a little bit more in that professional capacity, and the swimsuit pictures come in a text message after you connect. So it really depends on what you're looking for, my dear.
I love that. I love that. And that question is really for the audience, because sometimes I see on LinkedIn pictures that are not the most professional. Sometimes it's just in a post. And I understand that people are trying to capture comments and get the audience engaged. But I think that's a really important distinction to make: your professional platforms versus the dating platforms, if those are platforms that you're on. So let's take a pause for the calls and let's say hi to Melanie Richards. Thank you so much, Melanie, for jumping on and joining us. And of course, we want to say hi to Christy. She did such an amazing job on Aaron Gibson's show. If you all have not seen that, go back and catch it. And then Melanie has shows as well. Remember, I said at the beginning, let's connect with the people that we are showcasing here, because these are all amazing, wonderful, wonderful humans, and you want to be connected to them as well. And so Melanie says she started on Substack, and then she moved over to LinkedIn to avoid the glitches. Listen, back and forth, right? She's making vegetables, she's cooking, but I love that she's showing up. And this is what a community is. This is what collaboration is about. This is what support is about. It's showing up. Sometimes you just have to listen in. I think that was probably the benefit of the audio rooms, that you can just listen in and maybe drop a comment here or there, because the comments help to boost the algorithm on the platform. And so make sure that you are dropping those comments and dropping questions. We're going to show your questions on the stage and make sure that we ask those questions if we can before we wrap up. And so Jay is saying I should invite Marvel Mel to my show next week. Listen, Jay, I love that. I might have to hire Jay to put my schedule together. All right. So, Jay, I am booked up through August 22nd. And so I have my next opening is actually August 29th. But I love that you are looking out. I just had a coffee chat with her this week that was absolutely amazing. So I love how we are a family and how we look out for each other. And so that is absolutely amazing. Continue to drop your questions in the comment section. So we got to talk about this. These 50 states of these United States of America. You visited all 50 states and you did 26 of them
Yep.
solo by yourself.
All
And
but
you've been to 7 countries and 2 continents. Talk about the solo travel and what you've learned from that. What did that teach you? Some people won't even go to the movies by themselves.
girl, I get it. I never did before. I wouldn't even go to breakfast by myself, let alone dinner. I started in 2021. Really making it happen. Like that's when I decided I was going to get to all 50. So I started solo traveling in 19. And then I had to kind of stop because of COVID. And then 2021, I'm like, I'm on it. This, we've got one life to live. I want to get to this. When I was able to get to Hawaii was in January of 2021. I never thought I could afford to get there or that I would ever have a reason to go there by myself. When I was able to get there, I realized now I can get to all the other states. So I love having something to look forward to, something that I want to either explore or learn or accomplish. I don't always use the word goals, but it's definitely things to look forward to or things I want to accomplish. And I had at first no timeline of doing the 50 states. And then I realized I'm almost 50 years old. I need to do them before I'm done being 50. So before my 51st birthday, for 51st birthday, I wanted to get to all 50 and I accomplished it. And girl, I put some miles on to get to all the states because I didn't need to necessarily vacation in each state. I didn't have to spend the night in each state. For me, I had to do something in each state. So it wasn't just going to the airport. It wasn't just driving through. I had to go to the beach. I had to go out for coffee. I had to go find a waterfall. I had to do something. And when you're by yourself on vacation, because like I had been to a few conferences or work events by myself, or I've traveled by myself by plane to meet somebody somewhere. Totally different when you go by yourself to entertain yourself for fun or for relaxation. You learn so much about yourself, but also like your senses come alive. You hear things you wouldn't hear if your friends are yapping in your ear the whole time. You smell things that you are just like, wow, I didn't even know that restaurant had those kind of aromas coming from them. You see things that because you kind of go into a little bit of protection mode because you are by yourself, especially when you're a woman and you're in a new space. A lot of times you are a little bit more on cautious mode. So you actually see things that you may have totally ignored if you were talking with your kids or a spouse or a friend or something like that. And even the way you just hold yourself feels a little different. And going into that restaurant, I'm going to starve if I don't go eat. You realize, oh my gosh, nobody laughed at you. The world didn't fall apart. You got your food and you enjoyed it. It's a good thing you can do stuff alone. So I encourage everybody to travel alone. I also encourage people, even if they are in a relationship, to travel by yourself, even if it's just for a couple hours. Go do something fun by yourself. Not because you don't want to be with your partner, but we need to get to know who we are, and not just as a couple, not just as a parent, not just as a bestie. We need to decide what does make Jackie happy? What does make Carrie happy when you're out and about? That is the beauty of being able to travel alone, even if it's literally traveling to the park down the road type of a thing.
I love that. And you've already encouraged Christy to go out by herself. But before I put that comment up, she had a question about your favorite app to date.
Yeah. So personally, I have really only used Facebook dating for the past few years. I did quite a few other apps before. And I felt like Facebook was the safest because you could track them down a lot easier that way. I do tend to date more people through my social media connections. So when I get on a dating profile or a dating website or app, I literally am usually only on there for about 24 hours. I get, unfortunately or fortunately, so many messages that it gets a bit overstimulating to me. And then I feel guilty not responding to them. And I feel kind of bad not swiping on them if they say something nice to me. But I'm like, honey, you're 4 hours away. It's not going to work. Or I put a couple things that are no-goes in my profile. And if their picture shows one of those no-goes, I'm not going to accept you. So it can get overwhelming. So you have to do what works for you. So depending on where you live, depending on how big of your community is, you might be able to be on just one dating platform, or you might want to be on 2 or 3 of them because there might be different types of people that get on different platforms. So you got to figure out what works for you.
Love that response. Now, Meryl wants to know, out of these 50 states that you traveled to, can you tell us what did you do when you went to New York and New Jersey?
So, New York, I got to meet a couple awesome people that I actually met from LinkedIn. I met them in Albany. I have been to New York side of Niagara Falls, and then I did drive through the east side of New York to get to New Jersey. And when I was in New Jersey, I went to Liberty Park, which was so spectacular. It didn't. I don't even think I had to pay for parking there. I don't think there was any kind of fee there. Beautiful park. You can walk and walk and walk, and you can see the Statue of Liberty from the side in the back view. You can see all kinds of things. There's a beautiful tribute to 9/11. You can see all the skyscrapers. You can see the water. I got amazing selfies. It was a beautiful day. Loved it. I would go back in a heartbeat, and I hope to get back there and explore more of both of those cities. I've not yet been to New York City. I will get there to meet Damien, and I'll go to Long Island and meet Nick, and I want to meet Jason and Steven and all the cool people that I talk to from those areas. If I get your way, you will definitely hear me coming, Meryl, because I couldn't wait to meet you too. I think I was telling somebody just earlier today, I have met about 270 of my LinkedIn connections in person, most of which were through my travels over the past 4 or 5 years. But there's so many more to still meet. I can't wait to do it.
I'm excited for you. And I love that question. Thank you, Meryl. And I love that you've met people that you've connected with on
Mhm.
LinkedIn because that really makes it real. And that's kind of how this show was born because I started just meeting people on Zoom, just me and that person in our little coffee chats. And then I started writing articles, and that was great, but it was in my voice. And I said, wouldn't it be amazing if people could come on and tell their own stories? And so that's really what Carrie Connects is about. Now, Jay wants to know, we back to the dating again, okay? Now, how can you tell if the dating website or the dating app, how can you tell if it's legit or not? Because there
So
are scams and frauds and identity theft.
yes, yes. A lot of the big ones are you can read a gazillion reviews. So never ever put any of your personal identification information in any kind of an app or a website unless you've checked reviews and you've checked some of those people are real. Ask some of your friends, ask other people in your community. Some communities have single clubs, and ask them, say, hey, is this something that you guys have used as a, do we really have people from my town on here or people from my state or something like that? So always be cautious, always watch what you put in there. I never put anything that can, like I won't put in my dating profile, watch my Jess Jackson guest show. I don't put a last name. I don't put certain identification information. I would never put my profile picture for a dating site to be the same one I use on LinkedIn or Facebook because I don't want them to connect just by visual type of thing. So safety first, and then test it. Little baby questions. Don't divulge all your information right away. If they share overly too much right away, they're probably trying to convince you that they're real when they're really not. So be very careful of that. I haven't ran into too much AI yet, but there's a lot of scammers out there. I also hear there's a lot of scammers for women possibly pretending to be women, or women that show really beautiful pictures and they connect with men saying that they're just the love of their life and they just have never met such a nice, wonderful person. And then they say, I would so come to meet you, but my tires are kind of bald and I just can't drive there. If you could send me a little bit of money for some tires, I can come and we can hang out on Friday. And some people fall for that immediately because they're craving the attention and connection. So if you're in that mindset that I just need somebody right now, slow your roll and take some precautions and don't divulge and don't get too close. Have a dating coach like me that can maybe look at the profile and do a double check, do a little detective work behind the scene to see if they're actually legit. I've actually, back in the day, I didn't consider it catfishing. I considered it safety, where I would go friend somebody that somebody was worried that like their spouse might be kind of trying to do stuff with other people. And I would friend them. I wouldn't be inappropriate. I wouldn't lie, but I would see what they did. And if they were like, hey, baby, great to meet you. Ooh, that's a little kind of scary because you don't know who I am type of a thing. So have a bestie check them out for you. See if they can connect with them and see if they get the response. If it's the exact same story, you might want to run.
Oh,
We
I
can talk so
love
much about this stuff, girl.
I love that. I'm like, we're gonna have to do a part 2 and a part 3. I love it. I love it because you've built all of these careers across all of these different genres in terms of industries. You social work, mediation, romance coaching, publishing. We didn't even get to talk about the book and school board service and travel. How do you hold all of these different worlds together without losing this thread of who you are?
Yeah, well, I try to stay connected with good people. That helps a lot. I take a lot of solo time. So even like I haven't traveled lately. This is the longest I haven't traveled since my divorce, actually. So it's kind of weird. So I take alone time at night. I will disconnect a little bit. I will just do stuff just for Jackie so that I am not just Jackie, that this person, the boss, the person that can do this, the person that can save your relationship. I'm still Jackie too. So no matter what your business is, no matter what your role is, no matter who you are as a partner or not partner, take time for you. You are the most important person right now, is taking care of you. And when you're ready, then you open up and you decide what else you want to give. And so that's what I do for myself. Is I always was other people's priority. I never took care of Jackie. So I overate. I would stress all the time. I wouldn't sleep very good, all that things, because I just wanted to help everybody else. Now I still help a ton of people in a lot of ways, but I do it after I take care of myself just a little bit.
You have to do that. They always say put your own oxygen mask on first. I always say give from the overflow, which is really the same thing. And I love that Jairus is saying slow your roll, right? You got to take that time to breathe and really take care of who you are as a person, even before you take care of your spouse, before you take care of your children, before you take care of your work. You really have to take care of yourself. Those glasses popping now, because whoever you are, you want to be able to show up as the best version of yourself. And I love that Meryl says, that he appreciates and loves your advice on dating safety, that he's so proud and honored to be connected with you. And Blessing says that you are the most important person. Absolutely, because if you don't take care of yourself, how are you going to take care of other people? And so it's really important that you do that. So I love that we talked about how your purpose and your passion really just didn't wait for permission. They kept showing up until you stopped saying no. And I'm curious, as we close out, what would you want every person in our audience to walk away believing about themselves and their own purpose about this conversation today?
Yeah. No matter where you are in your life, how old you are, relationship, not relationship, job, no job, business owner, or anything, you deserve to respect yourself first. Love yourself, take care of yourself, because why would other people respect you if they can see you're not respecting yourself? Your health, your mental stability, your vibe, your energy, your physical health is more important than just getting approval from somebody else or getting somebody to think that you're handsome or pretty or that you are this type of a person. Be you, be your authentic self, and the right people will come into your life and gravitate towards you. And then maybe you can wear cool glasses just to support your friend on stage, because we love her glasses all the time. I just had to find some.
I love that you took the time to find some glasses. Those glasses are nice. Now, listen, you all make sure that you connect with Jackie on LinkedIn. She's linkedin.com. It's /IN/Jackie Hallberg, LMSW. So let us know if you have any events that are coming up that you want us to plug into, anything that's going on that you want to share, people that you may be looking to connect with. This has been great. We still have questions coming into the chat, but y'all, we can't be here forever, okay?
Right.
And so we are going to go in after the show and respond to those questions and comments. But tell us what you got coming up.
Yeah, so thank you so much for sharing that. So my show, again, every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Just Jackson Guests. I try so hard every week to highlight two different people. I'm not booked out as far as Carrie, because I have two guests on each show. So I am booked through the end of May. I have only a couple openings in June left. I'm already got some bookings in July. So if you are somebody that wants to share about yourself, you want to connect, you want to get to maybe get your business name out or get your hopes and dreams out there, please reach out to me so I can get you on deck. It is a live show. Right now, I don't do pre-recorded, but I will potentially do that. I keep saying I want to because there's some people that the time just does not work out for. But please support that. Watch that, not because I need the followers, but because the people that come to stage are amazing, and you don't know when they're going to kind of be there for you to help you out, or maybe you could help them out and support them. So I would appreciate any love you can give to that. Even if you can't attend, but you still say that you're going, it helps the algorithm show other people that people will be there. Or write a comment before the show starts and show up for 2 minutes even. But if you can support them in any way, it's super great. And then Wednesday, this coming Wednesday on the 29th, at nighttime, it's Wishful Wednesday with Damian Kinsey and I. That's 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is going to be open stage. So if you have a wish, a dream, a hope that you want to share with the world, all we ask on that show and on my Just Jackson guest show is to respect everybody. So don't come on there to blame somebody else or to shame somebody, to be racist or any of that. That does not fly here. Also on Wednesday is the day that I get my final testing for hopefully being a kidney donor. So if anybody wants to send some good vibes my way, I have my testing starts at 7:30 in the morning and I'll be there until close to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, meeting with the social worker, the nutritionist, both of the surgeons, doing my CAT scan of my kidneys, doing chest x-rays, all the things. So if you could send good juju our way, we would appreciate that. And then I am sometimes a guest on other podcasts and such. So if that's something you're interested, free to reach out. Really hoping to grow my TikTok channel because that is where I spend the bulk of my time talking about relationships. And that's under at Tripping with Jax. Feel free to find me on there. But yeah, interact with me. I do not respond to pitch messages. I want to get to know people. So if we're not already connected, please be a connection. I don't quite have the time to do the coffee chats because my day job is so intense, but I want to get to know you as a person. So showing up in my comments, showing up in a DM as a real person, not just, guess what I can do for you? I can make your website better. Those don't roll with me. So if I have offended you and have not responded to a message, it's because 79 other people have been pitching me and I just want to walk away from DMs for a day and just chill out. So if it's important and I have not responded, please send me a new one. Thank you so much. And Carrie, you're just so lovely. I appreciate you taking this time with me, and our coffee chat was amazing.
Thank you. And I am super excited. You all reach out and connect with Jackie on all the platforms. If you don't know the platforms, rewatch the show. We'll drop them in the comments section and continue the conversation. One of the things that I always ask is if you all would please share this recording with your platform, because the more people that know about the amazing people that we are connected to, the better. And that's really what Carrie Connects is all about. It's about making sure that we are authentically connecting our network with other people's networks, because I don't know who Jackie knows. Jackie doesn't know who I know, but now our networks are connected and we're all family. We want you to be connected as well. So share it, whether you share it from Jackie's page, whether you share it from my page, share it on YouTube, StreamYard, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitch. Make sure that you share this because that's extremely important. So we are going to be signing off. I'll see you all tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern time, for an episode of Clarity from the Heart, where we talk about all things financial, because abundance is a birthright. And so we want all of us to grow financially together. Thank you all for being here on Carrie Connects. Stay here for the outro, and we're going to meet you guys in the comments, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Bye.
Hey, hey, welcome in. Let the good vibes all begin. Something good is about to happen. Sure. I've been waiting on you. Got a seat with your name. Started with a coffee chat. Now we about to change the game. You got a story worth telling, and I got a room full of ears. So drop whatever you've been holding, get ready because your time is here. Because when real people talk to real people, something shifts. When real stories meet real listeners, something lifts. Every Saturday we show up and we bring our best. Show up to Carrie Connects and leave it past. Show up, show up. Something is happening here. Carrie Connects, Carrie Connects. This is your moment, come near where every story intersects. Entrepreneurs, boisterous friends, where inspiration never ends. You did not come this far just to sit in the back. Everything you walked through was getting you ready for that. So step into the light. Let somebody see your face, because the right conversation can change everything in this place. Because real people talk to real people, something shifts, and real stories meet real lips, and does something lips. Every Saturday we show up